The Stargazer's Gift. Marcus Blackwood pulled his weathered pickup truck into the gravel driveway of the abandoned Highland Peak Observatory, his headlights cutting through the early morning fog. At 62, retirement had given him plenty of time to pursue his lifelong passion for astronomy. But this morning's visit was different. The observatory's caretaker, an old friend named James, had called him about a mysterious piece of equipment left behind when the facility closed 5 years ago. The morning air bit at his fingers as he climbed the concrete steps to the main entrance. James stood in the doorway, his silver hair catching the first rays of dawn. "Glad you could make it, Marcus. You're the only person I trust with this." He led Marcus through dusty corridors to a storage room filled with outdated equipment and forgotten instruments. In the corner, wrapped in a faded tarp, stood what appeared to be a telescope unlike any Marcus had ever seen. Its brass fittings had turned green with age, and unusual markings covered its surface. "Found it last week while clearing out the east wing," James explained. "Nobody knows where it came from. Documentation's gone missing if there ever was any." Marcus ran his hands over the intricate engravings. After 40 years as an aerospace engineer, he could tell this wasn't ordinary craftsmanship. The precision of the markings, the unusual alloy of the metal, everything about it seemed advanced, despite its apparent age. "Mind if I take a closer look?" James handed him the keys to the storage room. "Take all the time you need. Consider it yours if you can fix it, better than letting it rot here." Over the next few weeks, Marcus spent every morning at the observatory, meticulously cleaning and examining the telescope. The more he worked on it, the more convinced he became that its design was revolutionary. The optical system used principles he'd never encountered, and the focusing mechanism operated with impossible precision. During one particularly frustrating afternoon, while attempting to align what he assumed was the primary mirror, Marcus discovered a hidden compartment in the base. Inside, he found a crystal that pulsed with a faint blue light when exposed to starlight. The discovery sent his mind racing with possibilities. That night, Marcus stayed late at the observatory, determined to test his restored creation. As darkness fell, he positioned the telescope toward a seemingly empty patch of sky. The moment he looked through the eyepiece, his breath caught in his throat. The stars appeared with impossible clarity, but more importantly, he could see something moving between them, systematic patterns that couldn't be natural phenomena. His hands trembling, Marcus connected his laptop to the telescope's newly discovered interface. Numbers flooded his screen, coordinates, frequencies, patterns he couldn't yet understand. But one thing was clear: this wasn't just a telescope. It was a communication device, and something out there was broadcasting. Marcus spent the rest of the night documenting everything, his excitement growing with each passing hour. By dawn, he had filled 3 notebooks with observations and calculations. He knew he needed help to understand what he was seeing, but he had to be careful about who to trust. As he drove home that morning, his mind kept returning to Dr. Alina Wright, a former colleague known for her brilliant work in radio astronomy. If anyone could help him make sense of this discovery, it would be her. Marcus reached for his phone, then hesitated. How do you tell someone you might have found proof of intelligent life beyond Earth? The telescope had chosen him for a reason. He felt certain of that now. Whatever secrets it held, whatever message it was receiving, Marcus knew his life would never be the same. As the sun rose over the mountains, casting long shadows across the valley, he made his decision. He would call Alina, but first, he needed to understand exactly what he had stumbled upon. Looking in his rearview mirror at the observatory growing smaller in the distance, Marcus couldn't help but smile. After decades of searching the stars for answers, the greatest mystery of all had found him instead. And this was just the beginning. Signals from beyond. Dr. Alina Wright stared at the data streaming across her computer screen, her coffee long forgotten. When Marcus had called her 3 days ago with his incredible story, she'd been skeptical. Now, sitting in the Highland Peak Observatory at midnight, she couldn't deny the evidence before her eyes. "These patterns," she muttered, adjusting her wire-rimmed glasses. "They're not random noise. There's a clear mathematical sequence." She turned to Marcus, who was fine-tuning the telescope's crystal interface. Whatever this device is, it's picking up signals that none of our modern equipment can detect. Marcus nodded, his weathered face illuminated by the crystal's pulsing blue light. Watch this! He adjusted a series of dials he had reconstructed based on the telescope's unusual design. The crystal's glow intensified, and new data patterns emerged on Alina's screen. It's like, Alina paused, searching for the right words. It's like we're seeing a conversation. These signal bursts, they're responding to each other. She pulled up another window, running the data through an analysis program she had written. Look at the time stamps. The responses are coming from different points in space, but they're coordinated. Outside, thunder rolled across the mountains. A storm was approaching, but neither scientist noticed. They had spent the past 72 hours analyzing the signals, sleeping in shifts on the observatory's old couch. Every new discovery led to more questions. Alina rolled her chair to another monitor. I've been cross-referencing these coordinates with our stellar maps. She pulled up a 3D model of space. The signals are coming from systems we thought were empty. Whatever this telescope is designed to detect, it's revealing an entire network of communication we never knew existed. Marcus reached into his bag and pulled out a worn notebook. I found something else. He opened it to a page filled with sketches. These markings on the telescope, I thought they were decorative at first, but they're changing, subtle shifts responding to the signals. Alina leaned closer, her eyes widening. They're not just markings, they're a form of data storage. She traced the patterns with her finger. The telescope isn't just receiving signals, it's learning from them, adapting its own structure. A loud crack of thunder made them both jump. Rain lashed against the observatory's dome as Marcus and Alina worked to document their findings. They knew they needed to be careful about how they proceeded. A discovery of this magnitude would attract attention, not all of it welcome. We need to decode these signals, Alina said, her voice firm with determination. But we can't let anyone know about this yet, not until we understand what we're dealing with. She looked at Marcus. Whatever civilization built this telescope, they clearly have technology far beyond ours, but why leave it here? Why now? Marcus walked to the window, watching lightning split the sky. I have a theory. He turned back to Alina. The signals increased when we started working together, I think it's been waiting for the right people to find it, people who would understand its purpose. Alina was about to respond when her computer beeped urgently. The signal patterns had changed dramatically. Marcus, look at this. The data was shifting, forming more complex patterns than they'd seen before. The crystal in the telescope began pulsing in sync with the new signals. It's not just receiving anymore, Marcus whispered. It's responding. They worked through the night, documenting every change, every pattern. As dawn approached, Alina made an astounding discovery. These latest signals, they're not just data, they're coordinates, very specific coordinates. She pulled up a star map. Whatever built this telescope, they're inviting us to look somewhere specific. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Where? Alina zoomed in on a point in space, her hands trembling slightly. A system about 40 light-years away, and according to these readings, she took a deep breath. Something's coming from there, something that's going to change everything we think we know about our place in the universe. As the storm cleared and the first rays of sunlight pierced the clouds, Marcus and Alina shared a look of both excitement and apprehension. They had crossed a threshold, and there was no going back. The real question was, were they ready for what came next? The first contact. The Highland Peak Observatory hummed with an energy unlike anything Marcus had experienced in his decades of engineering work. 3 weeks had passed since he and Alina discovered the coordinates, and tonight was the night everything would change. They had tracked the approaching signal, watching it grow stronger with each passing day. Professor Richard Hartley, Alina's former mentor and one of the world's leading experts in xenolinguistics, stood beside them. His presence had been Alina's idea. They needed someone who could help them understand what might be coming. The pattern variations are increasing exponentially, he noted, his British accent tight with anticipation. The modified telescope's crystal pulsed with an intensity that filled the dome with ethereal blue light. Marcus had reinforced the power systems after their last session had blown every fuse in the building. "Energy readings are off the charts," he reported, checking the hastily assembled monitoring equipment. Alina's fingers flew across her keyboard, recording every fluctuation. "The signal's reaching its peak. Whatever's coming, it's happening now." The air itself seemed to crackle with static electricity. Suddenly, the crystal flared blindingly bright. The telescope's mysterious markings began to shift and flow like liquid metal. Professor Hartley stumbled backward, his notepad clattering to the floor. "Good Lord," he whispered. A beam of light shot from the crystal, projecting what appeared to be a three-dimensional grid in the center of the room. Within seconds, the grid filled with symbols, complex, flowing patterns that moved and changed like living things. "It's a language," Hartley breathed, reaching for his fallen notepad. "But not like any we've ever seen. The symbols aren't just representing concepts, they're demonstrating them through their movement." The projection shifted, and suddenly they weren't looking at symbols anymore. A figure stood before them, composed of light and shifting patterns. It was roughly humanoid, but its form suggested an evolution far removed from Earth's biology. When it spoke, its words emerged as both sound and visible waves of light. "We greet you, seekers of knowledge," the figure said, its voice a harmony of tones that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds. "We are the Luminarch, and we have been watching your progress." Marcus gripped the edge of his workbench, his knuckles white. Everything they'd theorized about, everything they'd hoped for, was materializing before them. Alina stepped forward, her scientific training warring with her awe. "We're honored to meet you," she managed, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We have so many questions." The figure's form rippled with what might have been amusement. "As do we. Your species is young, but your potential is remarkable. The telescope you discovered was one of many we placed throughout the galaxy, waiting for civilizations ready to join the greater community." Professor Hartley had filled several pages with rapid notes. "You've been monitoring us, testing us." "Guiding you," the figure corrected. "The telescope responds only to those who seek knowledge with pure intentions. Your Marcus Blackwood recognized its true nature not because of his technical skills, but because of his lifelong dedication to understanding the cosmos." Marcus felt a warmth spread through his chest. All those years of stargazing, of wondering what lay beyond, they had led him to this moment. The Luminarch's form shifted again, expanding to show images of distant worlds and civilizations. "We represent a coalition of species dedicated to the advancement of knowledge and peaceful cooperation. Earth stands at a crucial junction in its development. The choices you make in the coming years will determine your place among the stars." Alina stepped closer to the projection. "What kind of choices?" "Your world faces challenges: environmental degradation, resource depletion, social division. How you address these challenges will reveal your readiness for the knowledge we can share." The figure's light pulsed thoughtfully. "We offer guidance, but the journey must be your own." Professor Hartley cleared his throat. "Why now? Why make contact at this specific moment?" The answer came with a gravity that filled the room. "Because time grows short. Changes are coming to your region of space, changes that will affect all life in this sector. Earth must be prepared." Marcus felt his mouth go dry. "What kind of changes?" But before the Luminarch could answer, alarms blared from Alina's monitoring equipment. "Energy surge," she shouted. "The connection's becoming unstable." The projection flickered, the figure's form beginning to dissolve. "We will speak again," the Luminarch promised. "Prepare your people, help them understand what is coming. You are not alone in this journey." With a flash that left afterimages dancing in their vision, the projection vanished. The crystal's glow dimmed to its usual soft pulse, leaving them in relative darkness. For several long moments, none of them spoke. Finally, Professor Hartley broke the silence. "Well," he said, looking down at his notes, "I suppose the real work begins now." He turned to Marcus and Alina. "The question is, how do we tell the world that everything they think they know about humanity's place in the universe is about to change?" Marcus looked at the telescope, its markings still shifting slightly. "We tell them the truth," he said. That we're not alone, that we never were, and that our greatest adventure is just beginning. Bridge across stars. 2 months after first contact, Highland Peak Observatory had transformed. Government agencies had quietly provided funding and equipment, turning the abandoned facility into a state-of-the-art research center. But Marcus, Elena, and Professor Hartley remained in charge, thanks to the Luminarch's insistence on working exclusively with the original team. Marcus stood at his new workstation, examining a holographic display generated by the telescope's crystal. The Luminarch had taught them how to access its educational functions, revealing secrets of physics that would revolutionize human understanding of the universe. "Look at this," Elena called from her station. She manipulated a series of equations floating in the air before her. Their approach to quantum mechanics is completely different from ours. They don't just observe quantum states, they guide them. Professor Hartley walked in, carrying a tablet filled with translations. The linguistics team made a breakthrough. The Luminarch language isn't just communication, it's a teaching tool. Every conversation contains layers of meaning that unlock as our understanding grows. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. The crystal pulsed, and the familiar form of their Luminarch contact, whom they had named Aurora, materialized in the center of the room. "Your progress exceeds expectations," the being said, its light form shifting with pleased energy. "We're learning quickly," Marcus replied, "but there's something you're not telling us. These teaching sessions, they feel urgent, like we're being prepared for something specific." Aurora's form dimmed slightly. "Perceptive as always. Yes, there is more urgency than we initially revealed." The being gestured, and a map of the galaxy appeared around them. "In approximately 50 of your years, a gravitational wave will pass through this sector of space. This wave carries both danger and opportunity." Elena stepped closer to the map, studying the projected path. "What kind of danger?" "The wave will temporarily alter the fabric of space-time," Aurora explained. "Civilizations with sufficient technological advancement can use it to achieve feats otherwise impossible: instantaneous travel across vast distances, energy harvesting beyond anything you've imagined. But unprepared worlds face devastating consequences." Professor Hartley looked up from his notes. "Is that why you placed the telescopes, to find civilizations in time to prepare them?" "Yes, your world shows remarkable adaptability. With proper preparation, you can not only survive the wave, but use it to advance your civilization by centuries." Aurora's form brightened. "But first, you must unite your people. The technology we share must benefit all of humanity, not just a select few." Marcus thought about the implications. "That's why you chose an abandoned observatory, isn't it? Away from government control, corporate interests." "Your insight serves you well," Aurora confirmed. "The knowledge we share must flow freely, like the light of the stars themselves. Your role is not just to learn, but to teach, to help your people understand their place in the greater community of conscious beings." Elena pulled up data from their latest experiments. "These advancements in clean energy generation, they could solve our environmental crisis within years. And the medical applications of quantum guidance could revolutionize healthcare." "But it has to be implemented carefully," Professor Hartley warned. "Too much change too quickly could destabilize existing social structures." Aurora's form pulsed with approval. "This wisdom is why you were chosen. You understand that advancement must balance speed with stability." The being gestured again, and new information began flowing through the crystal. "Today, we will begin teaching you about consciousness itself. Your species has barely glimpsed the true nature of awareness, the interconnectedness of all thinking beings." As the lesson began, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Just months ago, he had been a retired engineer tinkering with an old telescope. Now he stood at the forefront of humanity's greatest leap forward. The weight of responsibility was enormous, but so was the excitement of discovery. Hours passed as they absorbed new knowledge, asked questions, and began to understand concepts that would have seemed like magic just weeks ago. When Aurora finally bid them farewell, promising to return the next day, the three humans sat in thoughtful silence. We need to start planning the next phase, Alina said finally. We've been keeping this relatively quiet, working with small research teams, but soon we'll need to go public with some of our discoveries. Professor Hartley nodded. The Luminarch are right. This knowledge needs to benefit everyone, but we need to present it in a way that inspires hope rather than fear. Marcus walked to the window, looking out at the mountain peaks bathed in sunset light. You know what amazes me most, he said quietly. All these advanced beings, this incredible technology, and they still value the same things we do: curiosity, compassion, the desire to learn and grow. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson they're teaching us, Alina replied. That despite all our differences, consciousness itself creates a common ground, a bridge across the stars. As night fell over Highland Peak, the three continued their work, knowing that each discovery brought humanity one step closer to its new destiny among the stars. The telescope's crystal pulsed steadily, a beacon of hope and possibility in the gathering darkness. Legacy of Light. 1 year after the discovery of the telescope, Marcus stood on the newly constructed observation deck of the International Space Collaboration Center, watching ships taking off from the nearby quantum propulsion testing facility. The advances of the past year still amazed him. Humanity had progressed more in 12 months than in the previous century. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and Alina walked in, followed by Professor Hartley. Both wore the silver pins that marked them as members of the Earth Luminarch Exchange Council. The results from the first quantum jump test are in, Alina announced, her eyes bright with excitement. The prototype ship successfully made it to Mars and back in under 3 minutes. And more importantly, Professor Hartley added, setting down his ever-present tablet, the crew reported perfect stability throughout the journey. The Luminarch shielding technology worked exactly as predicted. Marcus smiled, remembering Aurora's words from their last conversation. Your species learns not just with your minds, but with your hearts. This is why you achieve in months what others take years to master. The viewing window automatically tinted as another ship prepared for launch. This one was larger, a research vessel designed to study the approaching gravitational wave. Thanks to the Luminarch's guidance, Earth was years ahead of schedule in its preparations. Have you seen the latest global statistics? Alina asked, pulling up a holographic display. Worldwide energy consumption is now 80% clean sources. Environmental recovery has exceeded all projections, and the new medical technologies, she shook her head in wonder. Diseases we thought incurable are becoming manageable conditions. But that's not why you called us here, is it, Marcus? Professor Hartley said, studying his old friend's expression. Marcus turned from the window. No, it's not. Aurora contacted me privately last night. The Luminarch Council has made a decision. They're offering Earth full membership in the Galactic Coalition, centuries ahead of their original timeline. Alina gasped, but that would mean access to all their knowledge, not just the prepared lessons we've been receiving, Marcus confirmed. But there's more. They want us to help establish a new teaching center here on Earth. The telescope we found, it wasn't just one of many, it was the first. The Luminarch believe humanity has something unique to offer the galaxy. Professor Hartley sat down heavily in a nearby chair. Our adaptability, he murmured. Our ability to face challenges and grow stronger from them. Exactly, Marcus said. Aurora explained that most species, when faced with existential challenges, either retreat into fear or rush forward recklessly. But humanity, he smiled. We learn, we adapt, we help each other. Even with all our flaws and divisions, we keep trying to be better. The room fell silent as another ship took off, its quantum drive leaving a brief, beautiful distortion in the air. Below, in the public square, crowds of people from every nation mingled, attending lectures on advanced physics, participating in cultural exchange programs, or simply sharing stories under the stars. It's not just about the technology, is it? Alina said softly. This past year, I've seen more cooperation, more genuine desire to understand each other than ever before, knowing we're not alone in the universe. It's changed us. The Luminarch call it the Great Awakening, Professor Hartley added. The moment a species truly understands its place in the cosmic community. Marcus walked to his workstation and picked up a small crystal, a gift from Aurora. It pulsed with the same gentle light as the telescope that had started everything. "They're offering us a choice," he said. "We can remain as we are, protected and guided, or we can step forward and help guide others. Aurora says there are more civilizations out there, approaching their own moments of discovery. They need teachers who remember what it's like to take those first steps." Elena joined him at the window. "So we'd become the mentors, us teaching other civilizations." "Who better?" Marcus replied. "We know the fears, the challenges, the excitement of discovery. We can help them avoid the mistakes we nearly made and celebrate the successes we've achieved." Professor Hartley stood, straightening his jacket. "When do they need our answer?" "The Galactic Council convenes in 1 month. They've invited representatives from Earth to attend." Marcus turned to his friends, his expression serious. "They specifically requested that the three of us be there." Elena laughed softly. "A retired engineer, a radio astronomer, and a linguistics professor helping to shape the future of multiple civilizations. Who would have thought?" "I would have," came a familiar harmonic voice. Aurora's form appeared in the center of the room, more solid than ever before. "From the moment Marcus found the telescope, you three have demonstrated the very best of what humanity has to offer: curiosity tempered with wisdom, advancement balanced with compassion." The being moved to the window, its light mingling with the sunset. "Your world stands at the dawn of a new era. The knowledge you've gained, the progress you've made, it's just the beginning. The gravitational wave approaches, but now it brings opportunity rather than threat. And beyond that," Aurora's form brightened, "beyond that lie wonders you haven't yet imagined." Marcus looked at his friends, seeing in their eyes the same mix of excitement and determination he felt. A year ago, he had been searching the stars for answers. Now he understood that the greatest discoveries weren't just about finding answers. They were about asking new questions, about pushing beyond the boundaries of what seemed possible. As night fell over the complex, 4 beings, 3 human and 1 luminarch, stood together, watching the stars emerge. Somewhere out there, another civilization was about to find their own telescope, to begin their own journey of discovery. And this time, humanity would be there to help light the way. Marcus smiled, touching the crystal in his pocket. The universe, he had learned, was not just vast and mysterious. It was alive with consciousness, with possibilities, with connections waiting to be made. And every discovery, every step forward was just another beginning.